Hello learners, I welcome you all to the last segment of 12th lecture. So in this segment we will be talking about the shift towards regulating foreign investment. So in the earlier videos itself we saw a trailer with regard to how in the oil companies they started having profitable relationship with the host state even if their companies were expropriated. So that is something we had already seen. So that move started happening in many other sectors as well, especially manufacturing sectors and all of that. What happened was now the host state started regulating foreign investment. The number of outright seizure of economic activities of foreign investor had come down. So that started happening. Mostly the host state started imposing certain restrictions, like there should be local ownership, there should be transfer of technology, and there should be joint venture. So all of these were put on foreign investor, whichever they felt was needed to protect the host state interest. Now what had happened? Now the foreign investors also started accepting these regulations, and they still continued, even if their economic activities were expropriated, they still continued the commercial ties with the host state. They were acting as consultant, they were providing the management service, they were providing the transportation service, and in various other capacities they still continued a profitable relationship, at least in monetary terms, with the host state. So that shift started coming up, and that's something that we could see. And the number of instances of expropriation had gone down, especially with regard to technology based industries, because technology is again subject to constant modernization. So the chances of expropriating such an industry was very less, because where the host state may not have the technical capacity to run it on its own and all of that. But the chance of expropriation in case of a standardized industries like your oil or mining or your public utilities and all of these were still high. That's in fact what had happened in Anaconda Copper Mining Company in Chile in 1971, right? But otherwise, what the host state did do was, it did not have an outright seizure of the economic activities. There was no expropriation, there was no nationalization at a massive scale that had happened after in 60s and 70s. We don't see that much. The regulations were again on the other hand very high. They started regulating foreign investment so much so that in fact Charles Lipson had noted that the host states had the capacity to achieve the same effect as that of nationalization or expropriation, even with regulations. Charles Lipson was talking about the possibility that if the regulations were so severe, then there's a possibility that the foreign investor may abandon the investment and run away, right? So that will have the same effect of expropriating the investment. So that possibility still existed. But if, let's say, the regulations get more stringent, will the foreign investors seek the diplomatic help of the home state? Is it a possible one? We don't see that had happened much, because with regard to outright seizure or outright expropriation, when an investor goes to the home state, they could say, see, our property was expropriated, our land was expropriated, our factory was expropriated. So some sort of gravity was there with regard to their claim. Now can a foreign investor run to their home state and then say, this regulation is being imposed on us? So it might look like a minor hassle compared to an outright seizure, right? So it is not always the home state will be willing to confer diplomatic protection and espouse a cause for the investor. And sometimes what happens is, when a home state espouses a cause of an investor, that also gets tangled with its own issues with the host state, right? When the home state espouses the cause of the investor, then in that dealing with the host state, it may sort of bring in its own grievances and all of that. So the concern or the investor's concern sort of may take a backseat, depending on how to what sort of weightage the home state wants to give to investors' claim, that is completely dependent on the home state itself. So the investor may not get a fully satisfied resolution of the dispute. And with regulation, they cannot even approach the home state as freely or with much ease if the same was an expropriation. So that sort of acted as an inhibition on the part of investors to ask for the home state's intervention, which was very frequent in the 17th and 19th century, as we had already discussed. So now what the investors started doing was, investors also started adapting to the change. One, in the case of oil sectors, we saw that they took a profitable position and they continued serving for these oil companies and some of the other capacities. Even with regard to other things, what they started doing was, they started analyzing the risk that may come up. In fact, there was an association of political risk analysts that were formed in 1980, and these analysts were recruited as consultants by the foreign investors itself. Now Venezuela, we saw Venezuela how it started giving commercial, having commercial ties with the key managerial positions from the expropriated firms also. So that is something that started coming up. Now the Latin American countries were the first countries which started regulating foreign investment. It moved from expropriation to regulation. So then many other countries also started doing that, and now when these countries started doing it, the political risk analyst also started giving advice to foreign investors on how to navigate these risks that is posed by the regulation. If we look at the Latin American countries, they insisted on local ownership, joint venture, technology transfer and all of that. So now what the foreign investors started doing was, they established a subsidiary in the host state, and this subsidiary, they ensured that the subsidiary dependent on the parent organization, maybe either for supply of raw materials or the parent organization bought majority of the finished goods as well. So in either way, what started happening was, there was some sort of the foreign investors started navigating the risk that were posed by these regulation of foreign investment by the host states. So what we see here is, the foreign investors also started adopting to the change. And if we look at the laws that were developed by the end of 19th century, the customary international law with regard to protecting foreign investment, so those laws again developed in the context of protecting foreign investment from expropriation or nationalization. So the customary international law with regard to foreign investment also did not afford much protection to foreign investment from these regulations. So there was a shift from both sides. I mean, the host states, instead of expropriation, started regulating foreign investment, and from the other side also, the investors also started adopting to these changes, and they also started navigating through these risks and still maintained a commercially profitable relationship with the host state. So this is how the move started happening, and now with that we have come to the end of the third week of the course. In the fourth week of the course, there was a drastic shift that we see in international investment regime, that is the practice of signing bilateral investment treaties and treaties with investment provision, and that sort of reintroduced the protection that is given to foreign investor before the protection that we see in the context of 17th and 18th century. And over and above those protections, now since the customary international law was not giving protection against the regulation, that was also addressed. Capital exporting countries started demanding the protections from the regulations also in the form of treaty protections. So in the next week, it becomes pertinent for us in order to understand what sort of protections are given from regulations. We'll understand that in the context of 4th week of the course, and then we will subsequently discuss more in more detail with regard to how environmental regulatory measures get placed in international investment regime. Since the focus of this course is international environment law and the environment, it becomes very pertinent for us to understand how there was a move to regulate foreign investment, and when that regulation of foreign investment happens for an environmental purpose, then how does it play out in the contemporary international investment regime. That is what we're going to see, and by the 12th week of the course we'll be talking about reconciling environmental principles within the field of international investment law. Thank you.